I'm sure you've noticed, but in the last few years, if you're an anime fan who wants to play games based off some of your favorite anime, your choice in genre isn't exactly plentiful. Now, I enjoy a good arena fighter as much as the next person, and I'm putting emphasis on the word good here, but there are just way too many now. I thought with the breakout fighting game Dragon Ball FighterZ and its phenomenal sales and hype and a competitive tournament scene would help us see more games come out like this. Alas, that's not the case. The most recent game that follows in the footsteps of it is the new Hunter x Hunter game. The catch with that game though is I hear you can't finish your combos. There have been other games that have completely mixed it up and aren't even fighting games like One Piece Odyssey and Dragon Ball Breakers. And while I have my issues with those games, I still had some fun while playing them, and regardless, it was so refreshing to see something new come out from these popular franchises that wasn't either an arena fighter or a Dynasty Warriors-esque game. Now, am I advocating we get rid of arena fighters altogether for the next decade? No. I, however, do think arena fighters have gotten lazier over the years with some exceptions and have caused not only a bad stigma on arena fighters, but made it so companies won't design any other types of fighting games or different genres in general. Unless Dragon Ball is attached to it, since they know that franchise can sell anything. Why did companies become complicit though and now almost solely rely on arena fighters as the go-to genre to sell Shonen Jump's anime games? Simple, they're easy to make and easy to learn. Think about it. One of the many reasons traditional fighters don't sell all that well when comparing sales numbers to other genres is because the learning curve is too great for a lot of people. And most people don't want to sink hours to learn how to play one character at a moderate level. Which is understandable, especially if you like a lot of characters. It's just not feasible for some people. And I get this 100%. Even though I love traditional fighting games and I've been playing them for many years of my life, and I prefer them over arena fighters, I can sympathize and understand that they aren't for everyone. Now, while I prefer traditional fighting games, I still love a good amount of arena fighters, and I think a lot of them are well made. Well, some of them anyway. However, over the years, many people are getting tired of them, and understandably so, because that's nearly all we've been getting now from the big named anime franchises when they do get a game. And because they are being lazily made, now it gives arena fighters an even worse name because now the market is overly saturated and most of these games aren't well made. Let's look back on some of the better arena fighters that unfortunately over time managed to dull in quality, and how the popularity of these titles made arena fighters into a juggernaut today. You see, arena fighters, at least from what I can tell you, didn't blow up in popularity until Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm and Tenkaichi. Previous to that, we had traditional fighting games, and both franchises I just mentioned were leading the way on that front. There were also some platform fighters, but we never got those overseas. The latter game played like what we envisioned the Dragon Ball anime to be like. You weren't contained to a 2D plane anymore, and you could fly and shoot beams wherever you wanted. As for Naruto, I remember when they first showed this game off, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe how good the game looked. It genuinely looked so much like the anime came to life in 3D form. I mean, it looked so good that they went and even made a special episode in the Storm graphics engine, which I covered and you can check out. It blew away so many people, and to me, the game's design still holds up today. It's actually really quite impressive. These two franchises popularized arena fighters, so much so that their golden goose was eventually cooked. Take a look at Storm and fast forward to today. Many people were disenchanted with the newest Storm entry, but even before that game, Storm seemed to take away more and more of what impressed people to begin with. The first game introduced you to a free-roaming Konoha. It's not exactly a GTA 5 map, but it was still nicely detailed and fun to run around in. The combat was simple but entertaining, and the story was told through nicely done in-game cutscenes. Fast forward, and each entry kept filtering what made the first game so good. Free roaming was now replaced with hallways, in-game cutscenes were sorely lacking and replaced with boring still images, and the combat grew stale with no big changes to try and improve it. Rather than just adding more gameplay elements and improvements, flashy special moves kept getting bigger to try and make the player forget that fact. and that's now carried over into more arena fighters. Companies seem to think that if you just take an anime franchise, which in most cases is a jump franchise, and just slap them in an arena where you mash 1 or 2 buttons, you've got a goldmine of a game. Forget mechanics, forget presentation, and forget what built up arena fighters to begin with. The franchise will just sell itself. This has left a bad taste in many people's mouths for arena fighters. But let's flip it. There have been arena fighters where the gameplay, presentation, and love are all still there. Take the Xenoverse games for example. I had such a great time playing those games, from the character customization, and even simple on the surface game mechanics, but when used in conjunction against another human player, you can delve deeper into combat feats. And seeing the story play out differently while you relive exciting moments with no stupid still images, and being able to do exciting raid boss battles with friends, and being able to do co-op versus matches between your friends and also random people. The possibilities were endless with that game. And in the case of Sparking Zero, it looks to be one of the better arena fighters with how much passion is being poured into the game. And with Naruto, sadly this game series has been left to the past, but the Clash of Ninja games were a lot of fun that also had much better mechanics than Storm if you were looking for a more traditional fighting game, and you could have 2v2s as well as 4-player free-for-alls. Some of these mechanics also boiled over into J-Star's Victory Versus, where there was much more of an emphasis on playing 2v2s. And I think arena fighters that play into this make them more fun. I think that's how you make an entertaining arena fighter, the fact that you can allow for something like that. It's something that traditional fighting games just can't emulate. Arena fighters that focus on 1v1 combat with nothing else to add to the equation are doomed in my opinion, because now you're just emulating traditional 2D fighters, but you're not going all in on being mechanically intensive, so what's the point? Play to your strengths with what traditional fighting games can't do, but these games can. As for the worst case games, giving arena fighters a bad name, they still do sell very well. I wish they didn't, but they do. So with high sales volumes on these titles from a business standpoint, why take any risks on making a different genre of game? I'm happy a few games are breaking this mold, but there's still a lot more they can do. I'm actually surprised because with Smash Ultimate's success and overseas markets never getting their hands on jump crossover platform fighters in the past, you'd think they would try their hand at it. God knows everyone else is. Could you imagine a jump platform fighter developed by Sakurai's team? It's also hard, for example, to try and market some of these fast-paced action series as turn-based RPGs. And again, I'm a fan of this genre, so I love them, but many fans want to experience the high intensity and action of these action-oriented animes, so from a marketing standpoint, this doesn't always go over well with the demographic aimed at these games. While on the other hand, the other close follow-up to arena fighters has been games that emulate the Dynasty Warriors gameplay mechanics. Those games give the player the chance to wreck anything and everything and cause massive havoc. I'd say these types of games are definitely second after arena fighters in how many there are. Hell, even other franchises are doing this gameplay style. Taking risks in doing other genre-related anime games is a gamble most of these companies are not willing to make, because at the end of the day, it's about profit. And if they see something doing well, they're less likely to take a risk on a new gameplay style. As I mentioned earlier, Dragon Ball seems to be one of the only franchises that is able to shake up the formula because of how popular and well-loved it is. And I am so grateful for that because it means new gameplay experiences from my favorite anime. And even when they make arena fighters for Dragon Ball, they really go all out. 99% of the time. Arena fighters aren't to blame for a lack of variety, but their success definitely influenced companies taking chances on different types of games that could contribute to the ever-growing anime gaming revolution. I think of it kind of like how some people in Hollywood get annoyed at superhero movies for performing very well and being one of the biggest driving factors to get people into the theaters, when they want to see other genres do just as well. The problem only arises when these same things that get popular drop in quality. So when looking to the future of anime games, it's unavoidable that we're going to be getting more arena fighters, but Sparking Zero looks very good, and the newest announcement of Bleach Rebirth of Souls seems to look promising as well. Both of these games look like they will be going in the right direction, and if that stays true, that can help the stigma of arena fighters. The lack of variety in anime-adapted games is still something that needs to change, but that's up to the big companies. But there are glimpses that this will change as the years go on, thankfully. All in all, I think there's more than enough room for arena fighters to stick around, but we need more good arena fighters than lackluster cash grabs, as well as needing variety in what we can see from some of the various anime franchises. By and large, anime games have become more popular over the years, regardless of where your opinion may fall on this. At least we have the problem of too much of something rather than having no anime games at all. Developers just need to trust in the franchise they want to make a game out of and put the effort in. Fans will recognize it when they see it. But hey, I'm still hoping for some kind of Jump Fighters game because I need some more Hitman Reborn content in my life. Either way, I'm looking forward to the future of the anime industry and the games that come along with it. Nath out.